Now we are ready to learn the first part of this piece. So if you look down at your practice breakdown, you're going to see that we're learning in like small chunks and then combining. So this is measures 1 through 8. We're going to start with measures 1 through 4. And because this is in 3/8, like we talked about in the prep work, we are going to start by thinking in 3. First, I want you to hear what the end game tempo is going to be, just so that you know where we're headed in the long run. That's 69. The dotted quarter equals 69. If we multiplied by 3 to get to our 8th note pulse, we would end up at 207. So this would be our final tempo. That's pretty fast. 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, and 2, and 3, 1, which is why we're going to learn it in a slower 3. And then we will transition to in 1, where the counting will be a little bit less clunky. So let's start this off slower, much slower. Okay, we're going to start this off nice and slowly. We are looking at measures 1 through 4. We are going to loop to the downbeat of 5, and right now I want you to, with the pencil that you of course have with you because you're practicing, right? I want you to mark a breath mark between the quarter note and 8th note in measure 4. You'll take that breath every time. Right now, while it's slow, you might need breaths beforehand after the other quarter in measure 2 perhaps. Just make sure we want that breath at measure 4. I think you will need it in the long run. I think that is a final breath placement for you. So I want you to get used to taking it from the beginning. So now let's count this in 3 from the beginning. Count, and if you're feeling good about it, finger along after the first time. Ready, go. 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, and 2, and 3, 1, 3, 1. And that's where we'll stop. So do you see how the counting divides out? Your 16th notes are 1 and 2 and in measure 3 because they are half of the 8th note, and your 8th note is what's getting the pulse. So remember, 1 and 2 and is how we count anything that is divided evenly into groups of 2. In this case, 1 is an 8th note, so the half would be your 16th notes. That's why we count those as 1 and. So we have 3 beats per measure, 3 8th notes per measure. That's why your quarter notes are being held for 2. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't verbalize things that are held. I keep that subdivision in my mind. And that's what we want to be doing, right? We want to be verbalizing something that is going to be played and then holding it or maintaining subdivisions in our mind. Okay, one more time counting, then we're going to jump right in. Count and finger if you're ready. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, and 2, and 3, 1, 3, 1. Okay, maybe let's go just a tiny bit slower when we first start actually playing so that you can catch every note. Remember, right now we care about notes and articulations more than anything else. That's what's important. Everything is tongued except for that group of 4 16th notes, which is slurred. We'll start adding accents and staccatos as you're capable, but right now let's get the tongue versus slur and the notes right. Remember, D flat in the first measure, first full measure, E natural in that second measure, and then of course your A flats to B flats in measure 3, which should only require da 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 da. Should only require left hand motion because we are using thumb B flat, meaning we don't need R1. All right, got all that? Thumb B flat, notes and articulations. Let's do it. 1, 2. Do it a couple times at this tempo. Catch the breath catch the breath in measure 4. 1, 2. Couple more times. 1, 2. Do you need to mark anything else? If you're missing an accidental, mark it in now. If you need to, in measure 3, I think you can grab some long, short, short, long here just to get used to that thumb B flat transition. So if you need to do long, short, it would sound like this in 3. Long, short. and then flip your pattern. And then you'd put it back in time, measure 3, ready, and from the beginning one more time, nice and slow. Remember, if you need to slow down, pause, and do it slowly on your own. Can you start thinking some staccatos or accents in here while getting the rest of your articulations and notes correct? 1, 2. One more time. 1, 2. Keep doing that a couple more times if you need to on your own. We are at 82 right now. That is the metronome marking that we're working with. Correct notes and articulations and rhythms right now. Those are the critical elements. Once you feel like you've got a good handle on those measures, keep repping until that feels easy. And then we're going to move on and we're going to talk about measures 5 through 8.